In the previous video, we explained the first two steps to form the primitive heart chambers. The first two steps, the first step is formation of the cardiogenic field, and the second is formation of the two endocardial tubes. And in the same time, simultaneously, during development of the two endocardial tubes, develops the two dorsal aortae, which communicate with the endocardial tubes. Each endocardial tube is connected dorsally and caudally with the dorsal aorta. This is the endocardial tube, and this is the second endocardial tube, two endocardial tube, caudally connected with the two dorsal aortae. The third step is formation of a single endocardial tube, which now will be called primary heart tube. How to form a single primary heart tube? We said before that due to folding, the cephalocaudal folding push the developing endocardial tubes into the future thoracic area, and the lateral folding will compress the two endocardial tube to become closer to each other. Where the two endocardial tube becomes communicate and meet each other in the middle line, and finally the two endocardial tubes fuse in the middle part from cephalic to caudal, from cephalic towards the head to caudal, but the two cephalic ends remain separate, forming two cephalic horns, and the same the two caudal ends of the endocardial tubes remain separate to form two caudal horns. And now the single tube, which is formed by fusion of the middle part of the two endocardial tube, this now form the primary heart tube. Now we will form, there is a primary heart tube with two cephalic horn and two caudal horns. The blood comes out from the primary heart tube. The blood reaches the primary heart tube, comes out. This is the outflow of the primary heart tube to the two dorsal aortae. The two cephalic horns, the blood passes to the two dorsal aortae. The incoming blood is the venous return to the primary heart tube. The venous return comes, the incoming blood comes to the two caudal horns. The two caudal horns, each caudal horn receives 3 veins. The 3 veins are common cardinal vein. This common cardinal vein receives anterior cardinal and posterior cardinal vein. The two veins unite to form a common cardinal vein, and this vein actually drain the body of the embryo. And This vein coming from the placenta, carrying oxygenated blood from the placenta, is called umbilical vein. And this vein draining the yolk sac, called vitelline vein. Therefore, the incoming blood to the primitive heart or primary heart tube is 3 pairs, 3 veins on each side. 3 pairs of vein, common cardinal vein, umbilical vein, and vitelline vein, 3 on each side. This is the formation of the primary heart tube, single primary heart tube, and the incoming blood and the outgoing blood. This picture is very beautiful. This is the primary heart tube and receiving the incoming vein, 3 veins, common cardinal from the placenta, placental or umbilical vein, and from the yolk sac, vitelline vein. This is the incoming blood passing to the primary heart tube to outcoming from the 2 dorsal aortae. The fourth step is the primary heart tube elongate rapidly. But elongate rapidly where? In very small area of the embryo. Due to rapid elongation of the primary heart tube in very short area, this leads to formation of the fourth stage. Fourth stage is formation of 3 constrictions with formation of 4 expansions in the primary heart tube, leading to formation of the primitive heart chambers, which are from caudal to cephalic. First of all is this chamber, which is called sinus venosus. The sinus venosus consists of a small central part and 2 horns, right and left horn, called the sinus horn. This is the sinus venosus, which is most caudal. More cephalic, cranial, there is primitive atrium. Primitive atrium. Above or cephalic or cranial to it is the primitive ventricle. This depression or sulcus, called sulcus between atrium and ventricle, therefore it is called atrioventricular sulcus. Cranial to the ventricle is this. What is this? Chamber called bulbus cordis. The sulcus separating the ventricle from the bulbus cordis is called bulboventricular sulcus. This is the formation of the 4 primitive heart chambers: sinus venosus, primitive atrium, primitive ventricle, bulbus cordis. We will continue in the next video. Thank you for good listening and good luck.